Good evening to one and all. And first of all, I pray to God that the COVID pandemic, which is ruining the very way of life of each one of us for the last almost 1 year, should go back now. I wish a speedy recovery to the organizer, Dr. Vaishali. She has been a good friend of mine who is hospitalized due to COVID. And I salute her for her efforts for the cause of this Center of Disability. We know that today is International Day of Persons with Disability, and Dr. Vaishali is working day and night for the rights of the persons with disability. I'm also associated with her for the long period. And we know that the annual observance of this International Day of Persons with Disability was proclaimed in 1992 by the United Nations General Assembly resolution. And it aims to promote the rights and well being of the persons with disability in all spheres of society and development. And it is also to increase the awareness of the situation of persons with disability. And for this, every year this 3rd December is being commemorated for this International Day of Disabled Persons. So today I'm happy to share my views on the rights of the persons with disability jurisprudence of as we all know that since 2016 we have a Rights Act, but as the title of the national webinar is related to COVID pandemic also, so I'm just bifurcating my talk in two parts. The one is related to the pandemic impact, and the second one would be related to the judicial perspective on the rights of the person with disability. So, disability inclusion is an essential condition for upholding the human rights, sustainable development, and peace and security. So, I would not be going into detail as to what are the human rights, as the previous speaker has spoken about the human rights of the persons with disability. But the UN agenda of 2030, we know that it is for the sustainable development, and it has also made this central point to the promise to leave no one behind. When it speaks of the no one, then it articulates or it includes all without any exception. So there cannot be any discrimination, there cannot be any exception, and everyone has to come and in the inclusivity. The commitment for realizing the rights of the person with disability is not only a matter of justice; it is an investment in a common future. And due to the global crisis of COVID 19, the pre existing inequalities we know are deepening, exposing the extent of the exclusion and highlighting that the work on disability inclusion is imperative. The people with disability are one of the most excluded groups we all know in our society and are among the hardest hit in this crisis in terms of the fatalities. So the commitment to realize the rights of the person with disability is, we can say, it is dependent upon all of us, whether we want that they should be given their proper dues or not. So this is not only a work which has to be done by the person, that not nothing without us, that is not to be there, but everyone in the society has to take care of that. And a point which requires to be discussed is whether there is any increased risk in the disability groups during this pandemic, COVID pandemic. So, if one has the disability, he or she might be at increased risk of becoming infected or having unrecognized illness. The risk of illness should be discussed with your healthcare provider. People who have limited mobility or who cannot avoid coming into close contact with others who may be infected. So, such as direct support providers and the family members, people who have trouble understanding information or practicing preventive measures. So, we see that such a things that like hand washing, which is one of the norm which has to be followed during this COVID pandemic. A person may have physical difficulty rubbing their hands together thoroughly. hand basins or sinks may be physically inaccessible. And regarding social distancing, how it has to be followed. Then people who may not be able to communicate symptoms of the illness due to another disability, so the need to touch things to obtain information from the environment or for the physical support, we see that yes, they are at the higher risk. So what the agencies at international level are doing for avoiding or for protecting, for curing all these things for the persons with disability, we see that WHO, the World Health Organization, has issued certain guidelines, and actions need to be taken to ensure that the people with disability can always access to the healthcare services, they can access to the public health information, and the measures has to be taken for the implementation of basic hygiene, access to other health cares, private health cares if it is not possible for the public health care. Then extra support is to be provided to by the family, also by friends. So these are the measures which have been taken by the WHO. Besides that, we see that United Nations also in its inclusive response to COVID-19 has taken certain measures also, and we know that today's theme, that is 2020 theme for this international day for the people with disability, is building back better. That is towards a disability inclusive accessibility and sustainability post COVID world. We all know that because of this COVID, there is a great harm, not only to the persons who are not having any these type of the things, but to all. So we see that not only the UN but and WHO, but other agencies like UNRPD, the ILO, the UNICEF, UNESCO, OCHR, so everything, UN Women, and many more regional at level, we see that they have also responded to protect the persons with a disability. There are certain preventive measures have been taken for the treatment also. So in that scenario, when the risk is at the higher level or it is at increasing, so how to go about the rights of the persons with disability. And as we know that since 2016, the law regarding persons with disability has been totally changed, and now it is a right based law. And this is the biggest law, we can say, that is having 17 chapters with 102 sections. So right from chapter 2 to chapter 7, we see that it consisting of various types of the rights. But as Professor Deshpande told, that really there are certain provisions which confers only to do that, an endeavor has to be taken, and that is something which is disgusting, because this is a right law, and the rights must be conferred upon the persons for whom it is made. So for that purpose, some of the provisions need to be amended and modified in view of the provisions which are there in the Act of 2016. Another point is that what the judiciary is doing, because I want to focus mainly on the judicial perspective of the rights of the persons with disability. So we know that we are governed by rule of law, but we see that judicial approach changes depending upon the bench, depending upon the arguments of the judges and the parties, councils, and many other things are also, we can say, contributor towards a particular decision. So first of all, I would like to share only one, one case in which we see that the Supreme Court has not given a judgment which is really good in that way, that the rights of the persons have not been, I mean, upheld by the Supreme Court. And the case was of V. Surendra Mohan versus State of Tamil Nadu. This was in 2019. Supreme Court bench of Justice Ashok Bhushan and Justice K.M. Joseph, they dismissed an appeal by Surendra Mohan, who was a lawyer from the Tamil Nadu, and he was held ineligible. Why? Because he was having more than 70% disability in visual impairment, and he was not allowed to be the judicial officer, a civil judge in the state of Tamil Nadu. And the court held that a judicial officer in a state has to possess some reasonable limit of the faculties of hearing or sight and speech, that is, they have given a limit of 50%. So by this judgment seems that the persons who are having more than 50% disability, they may not be there as a judge or as a judicial officer in the judiciary. So this judgment can be said to be something which is not in a right perspective. But in other cases, in maximum cases, we see that the judicial approach is very, very favorable. You see, in 2004, the Supreme Court just converted a letter from the rights activist late Javed Abidi to the then Chief Justice, Justice V.N. Khare, and demanding accessible election into the public interest litigation. And Justice Khare, Chief Justice Khare, has accepted that letter as a public interest litigation. So really, we see that that has paved the way for major reforms in the way of elections which were conducted at that time. Similarly, you see in 2016, Nipun Malhotra, he filed a public interest litigation in Delhi High Court. And after the Delhi government decided to procure the 2000 standard floor buses, which are inaccessible for the persons with disability. So this was also taken by the judiciary. Another point which was taken before the Supreme Court, that was in University of Delhi versus Union of India. It was a division bench judgment of 2019 where R. Bhanumati and Justice A. S. Bopanna were there. So this was a case which was related to the DDA, the Delhi Development Authority. It was giving a place for constructing the building in Delhi metro area within the Delhi University station. And the point here is this accessibility concern to the university's metro station area was raised under the Rights of the Persons with Disability Act of 2016. And here you see that there was a delay of 916 days in filing the court appeal, and the court has condoned that also. And after that, the directions were given, so that we see that the Supreme Court has taken an approach under the Rights of the Persons with Disability Act, so as the accessibility may be properly maintained. Then in Pankaj Sinha case versus Union of India, it was a judgment of 2018. It was a case decided by the full bench of the Supreme Court, and Justice Deepak Mishra, he was the Chief Justice. He delivered the judgment along with Justice Khanwilkar and Justice D.Y. Chandrachud. And you see that 15 directions were issued by the court in this matter, which was related to the leprosy. And some of the important directions which were given by the Supreme Court was to both, that is the Union of India as well as to the state governments, how to ensure that the drugs for the management of leprosy be made, provided. So this MDT, that is drugs for this leprosy, that are to be made free of cost. And secondly, they have also directed that it has to include the leprosy education in school curricula, so that it has to give correct information about the leprosy, because it was considered sometimes that it is something which is infectious and all these things. It is not, I mean, curable. So proper education is also required. So all year awareness campaign should also run by the union and the state as well, to organize seminars to desist from any discriminatory behavior. And the patients affected with leprosy, for whom the partial deformity can be corrected by surgery. So all these directions which were given by the Supreme Court in this particular case of Sinha. Then another case which was decided by the Supreme Court in 2018, that was of Tamil Nadu Medical Officers Association versus Union of India. And this was a case where we see that is related to the reservation policy in NEET, that is National Eligibility Come Entrance Test. And you see that the basic qualification which was there was that the 50 percentile should be there. And in case of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes and other backward class, the minimum marks shall be 40 percentile. For benchmark disability, they have said that the under the this right to persons with disability act, the minimum mark shall be 45% for general category and 40% for SC/ST OBC category. So this was the case which was brought before the Supreme Court from Tamil Nadu medical officers, and 5% seats of the annual sanction intake as is given under the Persons with Disability Act, that has been followed in this case. And at the same time, we see another important case which was brought before the Supreme Court, that was in 2018, Shyam Narayan Choksi case. It was Shyam Narayan Choksi versus Union of India. Again, Chief Justice Deepak Mishra has delivered the judgment. And you see that the petitioner here in this case, he was a public spirited person, and he has approached to the court under Article 32 of the Constitution of India, that is a right for constitutional remedies. And the very purpose was just to take the appropriate steps for inculcating the public proper sense of paying due respect to the national anthem. This was also known as the national anthem case. And you see that in 2016 30th November particularly, the Supreme Court has given the directions also as to how to give the respect to the national anthem, particularly when in the picture hall, cinema halls. So when this judgment was, interim order was passed by the Supreme Court in 2016 November, and after that in 20 in I mean December 2016, this particular act, Persons with Disability Act, was passed by the Parliament, and that has been enforced. So what we see is that the Supreme Court has modified its order, and it has directed that the persons who are wheelchair users, those with autism, persons suffering with cerebral palsy, multiple disabilities, Parkinson, and other types of the, I mean, leprosy cured or other types of the disability, they will be treated not within the ambit of the order passed by this court, because the order of the court was that they have to pay respect and everyone has to stand up when the national anthem has been played. So how it is possible that those persons who are not able to stand, then they will be there for, they have to pay respect by that. So the Supreme Court has modified its order in view of the this particular act of 2016, which was passed as a right of the persons with disability. Then another judgment which was given by the Supreme Court is Rajiv Raturi versus Union of India. It was of 2017 judgment, and the petitioner herein, he was visually disabled person, and he was a resident of Gurgaon. Now it is known as the Gurgram, and he works in Delhi with a human rights organization. So he has filed the petition in the public interest on behalf of the disabled persons for proper and adequate access to the public places, because we all know that the accessibility is one of the greatest, I mean, difficulty for the persons with a disability of any type of the disability. So in particular, this petition seeks for providing all accessibility requirements to meet the needs of the visually disabled persons, particularly in respect of the safe access to roads, safe access to the transport facilities and buildings, and so many things. So we see that the court here in this case has referred that this accessibility is a very, very vital issue, and particularly for visually disabled persons. We see that there was one case decided by the Supreme Court way back, it was in 1986. It was state of Himachal Pradesh versus Umed Ram Sharma, where the case was only regarding the accessibility or the approach road, because that was a case of Himachal Pradesh, very interior village therein, and where this right to life under Article 21 of the Constitution this was held to be broad enough to incorporate the right to accessibility, and it was read with Article 38 of the Constitution, which speaks of the justice, economic justice, and social justice. So every person who is having the right to move, because we all know that 19(1)(d), under Article 19(1)(d) of the Constitution of India, every citizen has a right to move freely throughout the territory of India. And when a person is not having the proper movability or accessibility, then he cannot enjoy this particular freedom under Article 19(1)(d). So this judgment was also taken care in this particular case. And the Supreme Court said that denial to that right would be denial to life as understood in its fullest ambit by the Constitution of India. So, right to life, which includes right to dignity, which is ensured in the Constitution and in the constitutional setup for every citizen, which is available to every person who is suffering from any type of the disability. So therefore it becomes imperative to provide such facilities so that they are ensured at least a level playing field, and not only they are able to enjoy the life meaningfully, but they can contribute to the progress of the nation as well. So this was the judgment of Justice A.K. Sikri and Justice Ashok Bhan. 11 directions were given in this case, and at the same time, the judgment was also uh, in the way that they have given these directions that has to be fulfilled in a time bound period, that this is the time period, within that time period you have to fulfill these directions. So this was one of the important judgment of the Supreme Court in view of the accessibility of the persons with disability. Then we see another judgment which was decided by the Supreme Court in 2016, that is of Jija Ghosh versus Union of India. And we all know that Miss Jija Ghosh is an Indian citizen, and she was suffering with cerebral palsy. And she is an eminent activist also, and she has been doing work for the disability rights, and she is member of various bodies also, and recipient of various awards, and rewards were given to her. So she was deboarded from the aircraft being disabled. So this was a case which was filed before the Supreme Court, and this not only humiliated and traumatized her, but also deprived, because she was going to attend some of the conference, and the persons who were to listen her thoughts and her experiences, they all were prevented because of this deboarding. And that's why the court held here in this case that the right that guaranteed to the differently able persons under 1995 act, because this is a case of 2016, at that time this 2016 act was not passed. So at that time the previous act which was applicable of 1995, so the court held that the persons under this 1995 Act founded on the sound principle of human dignity, which is the core value of the human rights, and treated as a significant facet of the right to life and personal liberty. So, in interpreting this Act along with Article 21 of the Constitution, which speaks about the right to life and personal liberty, that no person shall be deprived of his life and personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. So we see that the court here in this case has given the judgment, and jurisprudentially we see that three types of the models for determining the content of the constitutional values of human rights have been recognized in this particular case by the Supreme Court. I'm not going into detail of that due to paucity of time. Then another case, Pranay Kumar Poddar of 2017, and we see that the Supreme Court has appreciated the objections of the Medical Council of India and the college in proper perspective, keeping in view of the transcendental importance of justice. And the court, through Justice Deepak Mishra, he was of the opinion that whatever they are doing as a transcendental importance of justice, they are doing it by invoking their jurisdiction under 142. Even if there is nothing or no provision is there, then again the Supreme Court has taken its own judgment and own jurisdiction under Article 142 of the Constitution, which confers a power on the Supreme Court for doing complete justice. So under that provision the Supreme Court has given the judgment in this case. And then disabled rights group, another case which was decided by the Supreme Court in 2017. So while dealing with the issue of reservation of seats in educational institutions, this was a case related to that. and the Disability Act of 2016, the court has again issued certain guidelines not only to the UGC but to the Bar Council of India also, guidelines regarding accessibility for the students and with the disabilities in the university and colleges. So all that has to be done, and the UGC and BCI, they have also to constitute a committee in this behalf. They have to, I mean, monitor the things whether these things are being done properly or not. So the guidelines have been given by the Supreme Court in this case. So it is not only the Supreme Court which is doing or which is favoring the judgment, but it is also, we see that the high courts have also done a good job in that respect, be it Nipun Mehta versus government of Delhi, or Rakshit Yadav. Rather, I must appreciate one of the judgment which has been given by the Delhi High Court very recently on 8th May 2020. That is Bhavya Nain versus High Court of Delhi. You see that here in this case, the petitioner was an applicant for the Delhi Judicial Services, and under the category of persons with disabilities, and he was rejected on account of the mental disability, and he was found that his disability is permanent in nature. So for this, the disability certificate was also issued by the AIMS All India Medical Institute. And we see that the court directed in this case that the respondent to declare that the petitioner is selected, who is selected to the Delhi Judicial Services without any further delay, that he has mental illness, of course, but upon his appointment, the petitioner would retain the seniority he has to join, and the appointment has been given to him, though he was having this mental disability. But still the court said that he has to join as a judicial officer. This was a judgment of the Delhi High Court, and which is really one of the best judgment given by the High Court. We see that in Surendra Mohan, the court said that 50% limit has to be there, and besides that and above that limit, the person is not entitled for the judicial services. But here the court has given that, and it has also given certain directions that though he may not be given the monetary benefit, because he has to join after a particular date, so he will not be given the monetary benefit, but otherwise the notional seniority and everything has to be given to her. So we see that the approach of the judiciary in maximum cases is just to uphold the right jurisprudence towards the persons with disability for leading a dignified life, as is, it is also a preambular objective of the in the Constitution of India, to have a dignity or to ensure the dignity of the people of India. So many directions you have we have seen that given in various cases on accessibility, reservation, profession, and so on. So finally, what I can say is that presently the need is to implement those directions and treat them with full dignity without any discrimination, because we know that they are amongst us. And we also know that disability is not only by birth, but it may be by accident also. So our efforts should be to have no mercy or no or pity, but equality, justice, and equal participation for all in all these spheres of their life, be it social, be it economic, political, legal, cultural, educational. And Justice A.K. Sikri also quoted in Jija Ghosh case from Joseph P. Shapiro. He has authored one book on the rights of the persons with disability. No Pity, that was the first chapter introduction, has the subtitle, You Just Don't Understand. And the very first sentence of that book, I quote, that is, not non-disabled Americans do not understand disabled ones, unquote. So this is a very important, quote which is given in that book by Joseph P. Shapiro, that we must understand the all the persons in the society. And Nipun Malhotra, in his one of the article which is available on his blog also, he has written what Heaven Grima, he was the first deaf blind alumnus of Harvard Law School, when he said during the 25th anniversary celebration of the American with the Disabilities Act, ADA, it is known as, that the persons with disabilities succeed not by magic but through opportunities. So this is also a very great, statement on the part of the student of the Harvard Law School, who said that persons with disability succeed not by magic but through opportunities. So it is very important that accessibility and opportunity is having a great nexus. So accessibility brings the opportunities, and opportunities can give them the accessibility. This is my point of view, and that is true not only for the Americans but for everyone everywhere on the planet. So I wish that to give full opportunity to them and to see what they can do wonders, because we know that disability is not a state of inability. So thank you very much, Dr. Vaishali, for giving me the opportunity to share my views on the judicial perspective. And as I told that in maximum cases the judicial approach has been very very favorable towards the persons. And as a constitutional law student, I would also say that it does not discriminate between the persons, because the very preamble of the Constitution of India, with the initial five words which speaks of we the people of India, so that we include everyone, it leaves no one. So this constitution, which is the supreme law of the land, is for all of us, and we can enjoy all the rights which have been conferred under part 3rd of the constitution as a fundamental right. And we all know that the human rights which are inalienable are also available to each one of us. So it doesn't matter that to whom it is, but really we know that opportunity and accessibility must be given to each one and everyone, so that they may also enjoy a dignified life. So with these words, I wish this happy day for all the persons with disability, as we are commemorating this on 3rd December. So with these words, thank you very much.
Extremely thankful, ma'am, for we are really delighted to hear your speech in terms of highlighting all the landmark Supreme Court judgments